54. Tonight, clear with a low around 56. And Wednesday, sunny with a high around 75. Treasure Island has set sail at Children's Theater Company. Join young Jim Hawkins and the infamous Long John Silver on an adventure packed with pirates, sword fights, live music, and heart-pounding action. Tickets are going fast. Get yours today at childrenstheater.org. Again, that's childrenstheater.org.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, in the evenings on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk, and in the nighttime hours in Seattle, 1150 AM KKNW. It is the Matt McNeil Show for your Tuesday. Nice to have you with us today. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. This rapture sucks, man. Where are we supposed to be? What time is it supposed to be on? I mean, I've been waiting all day to be either called up or be disappointed. I don't know.
Yeah, that is an excellent question. Was it lunchtime? Because we're past that. Maybe dinner time. If you can have a nice dinner before you head off.
Well, I do have pierogies tonight. I do. Oh, love those. Who isn't a little peckish before you head up to heaven? I don't know. It's almost like this whole thing is just some sort of fantasy made up in, say, the 1830s by some guy who is writing Christian fan fiction that really doesn't have any basis at all within the Bible or Christianity. I mean, it's almost like that. Yeah. But man, you evangelicals, man. Well, not all of you, but there's a lot of you guys, man, that think this is just this is ironclad. This was, he was talking about this back in the day. No, he wasn't. It was 1830. It's fan fiction. I mean, it's basically, have you ever read any like the Star Trek fan fiction? It's a mixed bag. And yeah, this is one of those that just, because it had good marketing, ended up becoming something where people said it's an absolute. And was it Paul actually said, St. Paul said, yeah, anyone that thinks they can predict when Jesus is going to come back to earth is a fool. Paraphrasing, but yeah, you don't have any idea.
I think if Jesus himself said, I don't know when I'm coming back, I think that should be the word you kind of listen to.
One thing Patrick, we didn't check the Libra horoscope. Does the Libra horoscope talk about, rapture? I'm a Libra, so
I guess I'd have to go check for today.
Well, if we're going to go with Christian knowledge, nothing screams that more than the rapture or the horoscope. It's one of the two. Yeah, this is called mocking you. But hey, I'm sure at some point today, we're going to have some guy with his calculator and his compass in here to tell us, what we really actually, this is going to be in 2026. It's our bad. Which once again, we're wrong, but it's guaranteed going to happen this time. Exactly. I ran into the bots today, by the way. Now, since I left Twitter, that godforsaken cesspool, and once again, the question I have to ask every Republican or every Democrat is, what the hell are you doing on Twitter still? Seriously, he hates you. They all hate you. It's designed to basically beat you up. It's you sitting there going, don't give me another wedgie. Come on, get off of it. Hey, once again, I was hesitant when it happened, but I got off of it. I went 4,000 followers then, and I've got 20,000 now, close to 19,000 over on Blue Sky. There are better places, and trust me, Blue Sky doesn't have bots. You get a few on Facebook, mostly Facebook. The annoying thing over there nowadays is that your recommended pages is all these far right lunatic fringe pages. And I actually wrote a letter there to Facebook, I think it was yesterday, saying, guys, I have come in blocking right wing content for the last 9 months. At what point is your algorithm going to realize I don't want this, or is it doesn't matter? Is it just, are you sending this stuff to me? No, because the Twitterverse doesn't have nearly the amount of progressives and liberals and Democrats on it anymore for Republicans to desperately plead for attention. They have moved over to Threads, and I've noticed that. But I noticed something very funny so I posted this post about the picture of Trump at the Charlie Kirk Memorial, where he is not capable of empathy. This is not something in his wheelhouse. It's not a club in his golf bag. He doesn't know how to be the compassionate, caring person. He never has. And that's, you never voted for him because of that. It was always, as a matter of fact, that's what really drew you to him, was his lack of compassion, his lack of empathy, his inability. I mean, he wanted to be this kind of mean-spirited person, and you like that. And so to watch him and watch his facial expression give kind of this Frankenstein hug to people, okay. And like I said, Donald Trump is the grandpa that would give the crying kid $20 and tell him to leave him alone. That's kind of the mentality. Well, of course, I angered all the MAGA people. How dare you? Well, I don't have any problem doing that because, I'm calling it as I see it. I mean, you're the guys that voted for him to drag people away and torture them and take healthcare away from people. You actually voted to have your farms foreclosed on. I can't help you guys. I really can't. I can't help you guys at this point. But I mean, that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. All the bots kind of showed up and they were going at me. I mean, I was getting like maybe, 2 or 3 comments a minute for a while there from these bots, all of them with like 10 followers or 0 followers, that sort of thing. And then they all disappeared. And I said, okay, what just happened? Because it was what just happened? Something just happened that all of a sudden all the bots disappeared. And indeed, it was Donald Trump decided to go and talk to the United Nations. If you have not, oh my. This was embarrassing. I'm just going to call it what it was. Okay, so he gets in there and his brain is mush. It is. He clearly has lost a lot. And what preceded was an hour of him taunting the UN and our allies. And I guarantee you this, you think that this is going to help our tariff situation and our export. Oh God, no. And I'm just going to read from our good friend Aaron Rupar, who public notice, if you're not on that, you need to be. It's fantastic. Rupar, and this is just his coverage of it as it went through. Our message is very simple. This is Trump. Our message is very simple. If you come illegally to the United States, you're going to jail, or you're going back to where you came from, or perhaps even further than that. You know what that means. He's telling this to the UN. And of course, it did not go over well. There was immediately murmuring within there. Trump to the UN. I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell. He actually said that to the UN. It is just to blank stares. They're like, what in the... This is Aaron Rupar. Trump's brain is now incoherently flitting from topic to topic as the UN sits in stunned silence listening to him as he goes. And he did. I mean, it just was this free thought jazz going to don't like you, don't like your country, don't like your country. Your country's kind of okay because I like dictators, but your country, nope. Trump to the UN. The carbon footprint is a hoax made up by people with evil intentions, and they're heading down the path of total destruction. Trump, we're getting rid of the falsely named renewables. By the way, they're a joke. They don't work. They're too expensive. They're not strong enough to fire up the plants that you need to make your country great. The wind doesn't blow. Those big windmills are so pathetic and so bad. This is a direct quote from him at the UN. And by the way, he's saying this to representatives from countries who are completely off the electrical grid at this point, that are all either geothermal, solar, or wind power. There are multiple countries where some of them are completely. I think Denmark is completely on renewable energies. I think some of the Scandinavian countries are like 90% on them. So his entire argument is false. Trump, I'm really good at predicting things. During the campaign, they had a hat, a best-selling hat. Trump was right about everything. And I don't say that in a braggadocious way, but it's true. I've been right about everything. Wow. He's saying this to the UN. Oh. And Rupar, after watching this, Trump's UN speech was an embarrassing blank show that brought disgrace upon the United States. Congrats, America. Trump to the UN. Europe loses more than 175,000 to heat deaths every year because the costs are so expensive that you can't turn on an air conditioner. What's that all about? That's not Europe. That's not the Europe that I love and know. We're all in the name of pretending to stop the global warming hoax. He literally, in his little statement there, said clearly the planet's heating up and people are dying of heat exposure and heat stroke and stuff like that. He sells that, and then he says it's a hoax. It was bad. To tell you how bad, a senior diplomat reacted to the shock of Trump was delivering a speech to the United Nations. White House was speaking. While Trump was speaking to the General Assembly on Tuesday, Washington Post correspondent Isan Theodore said he received a text message from a senior foreign diplomat posted to the UN. The man is stark raving mad. Do Americans not see how embarrassing this is? The diplomat reportedly said. I can already tell you, worldwide news is like he is not fit to basically be in charge of a spoon, let alone the United States of America. I mean, he was an embarrassment today. He's out there insisting, I was so well received. Yeah, you went in there and told all those people, you suck. You suck. I'm the greatest person that's ever lived on the planet, and you suck. And he thinks that went over well. He thinks that everyone could, like, Portugal is sitting there going, well, he has a point, No. I guarantee you, the UN got done with that. And basically they walked out of it and they walked to rooms and say, okay, how do we avoid dealing with the United States ever again? He also said he deserved the Nobel Peace Prize while bragging about military strikes on alleged drug boats in Venezuela. I will blow you out of existence, he warned. That's, I think, when people win that Nobel Peace Prize, they're like, sure, they wrote this great piece of literature or, discovered this new formula in physics or this new economic standard. They did all this stuff, but have they blown anyone out of the water? I don't think they qualify for the Nobel Peace Prize. He is so desperate to get some sort of anything but, MAGA blockbuster fan of the year award. And he probably still wouldn't win that. God, jokes aside, this is a freaking tragedy. This is an absolute tragedy. And yeah. We are a laughingstock. We are the international laughingstock. And Putin and Netanyahu and all these other people are coming, Trump, no, you are really the smartest. And that's going to be our downfall. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
This season, bring the whole family to see Irving Berlin's White Christmas. This smash hit musical based on the classic film returns by popular demand to delight you at Chanhassen dinner theaters. With loads of laughter and a stunning showcase of Irving Berlin songs, White Christmas is a celebration of the romance, friendship, and magic of the holidays. Make your plans today to see White Christmas. Visit chanhassendt.com.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. It's the start of our favorite season in Minnesota, football season. With all the hype and action this season brings, we know things can get loud and messy quick. Before you invite your friends and family over to watch the big game, you better call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res to clean up all of those fumble moments in your home. And as always, you can score a guaranteed touchdown with great savings from Zero Res this month. Carpet, tile, rugs, upholstery, every surface in your home can be Zero Resified. And this month you can get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129, plus $75 off an air duct cleaning. And don't forget about your dryer vent, too. Having Zero Res over will be a big victory for your home. You'll always come away a winner, even if the guys in the purple or the maroon don't. Call 952-ZERO-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com and ask for the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
Twin Cities Con returns to the Minneapolis Convention Center for their 5th year, November 7th through the 9th. Twin Cities Con is a celebration of comics, toys, TV, film, art, cosplay, games, and all things nerdy. There's nothing like Twin Cities Con. It's also a family-friendly event where you can meet your favorite celebrities, browse the vendor hall and artist alley for the coolest merch, watch celebrity Q&As, and even more. Twin Cities Con is bigger and better than before. Come see from the Star Wars universe Ahmad Best, Rosario Dawson and Giancarlo Esposito, Brendan Fraser, and the cast of The Mummy, WWE Wrestling Hall of Famers Sting and Mick Foley, and the voice actors from the hit Disney series Phineas and Ferb, plus more guests to be announced. 3 days of action-packed fun in the heart of Minneapolis at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Tickets start at $50. Kids' tickets are just $10 for the entire weekend. VIP tickets also available, including a 3-day weekend pass, plus some really cool VIP perks. More guests will be announced. Buy your tickets and get more information at TwinCitiesCon.com.
Now be my logo, yeah, yeah. Now be my logo, yeah, yeah. Now be my logo.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. While speaking in the silent audience, the president lamented that he hasn't gotten enough appreciation for his efforts, complained that allies weren't backing him, asked why the UN even exists, and touted personal achievements in the U.S. that would be of little interest to foreign diplomats. He sounded like a buffoon. I mean, he sounds like MAGA. I mean, it's that's all he is. And this is one of those few cases where because the news media in this country fails us spectacularly, has failed us spectacularly, and social media is where you push this stuff. He thinks that he can go in there, he can be Biff Tannen from Back to the Future and go on in there and just say, I'm the greatest person ever. And then he gets into this situation and look at all you losers, all this. And he's looking for, I guess, like Liechtenstein to high five. And he doesn't realize, well, you just look like a deranged, brain-mushed, narcissistic jackass, you fool. You look like a freaking tyrant, only you're the Kirkland brand tyrant. You're not even a brand. You're just a brand style. You don't even have anything unique about you outside of just pet my ego. Ugh. The Kirkland diplomat, a dictator, the Kirkland dictator. Oh, there's a bin of them over there right next to the cheese puffs. You're going to love those. I mean, they're bargain priced. Anyway, let's take a look at something that's positive. Once again, special elections are showing that Republicans are in a bit of a bind. Democrats are hoping to shape up a deep red district in special election Tuesday that promises to send a clear message to Trump in a second term in office. Deborah Shigley, the Democratic attorney and mother of 5, has told voters in Georgia to send a message to Trump and vote for her for Georgia State Senator in District 21. She's facing political outsider and Republican candidate Jason Dickerson. The two candidates are vying for the seat north of Atlanta, which became vacant when Trump appointed Senator Brandon Beach, the Republican incumbent, as U.S. Treasurer. Shigley has campaigned with the head of the National Democratic Party, which hopes to add the win to a red state and its string of recent special election victories. Although Republicans are expected to hold the seat, according to analysis, Democrats could narrow the margin or pull off a shocking win in the district that is really Republican at the presidential level, said Kyle Kondik, a elections analyst in the nonpartisan site Crystal Ball. She's going to definitely do better than the presidential margin. In 2024, the election, Trump had 2/3 of the vote. According to the re-election last year, Beach had 70% of the vote. She finished in the initial balloting with the special election, had 40%. So she'd already cut 10% into that total when they did it. Now, this is Georgia, and so they have runoffs. So if you get more than 50%, if you get 50% in one vote, you win the election. But if no one gets 50%, then they have a runoff election, and the winner, regardless of how many votes they get, is the winner of that seat. And that's where they're at right now. The vote, basically, Dickerson, who competed against 6 other Republicans, took the lead in his party. So, there's going to be definitely multiple, a coalescing, and that's the argument is everyone should coalesce here. But the fact that they are actually concerned about this race, that was a 30. Okay, it would be 40 to, I have no idea what the other person got, but I'm going to guess it was somewhere in the area of 40 points on the margin. If it was the case, 70%, I don't think that's too hard. Probably was maybe even a little bit more. Don't know. But yet he basically got 40% of the margin there. Let me make sure you say something. Even if this candidate doesn't win down there, this is a terrifying sight. Watch the number. Okay, so that just last year, the Republican got 70% of the vote. If the Republican only gets like 51% of the vote, or even loses this race, the Republican machine does not have the money or the strategy to have to run every plus 10 to plus 15 Republican seat as a toss-up. They don't. We know there's races in Illinois. We know there's races in Washington. We know there's races here in Minnesota and in Wisconsin. We know that there are these races out there where these Republicans have felt pretty comfortable. They're winning by 8 to 10 points. But if this has really turned this much, and it sure seems to be that the case, Republicans do not have the strategy or the game plan to basically defend themselves across the board. And what you will see is they will basically give up on any, say, +5 or less seat. They'll just concede that to the Democrats and try to hold as many of the other races as possible. It'll be fascinating to watch. We'll have to see what happens tonight. But like I said, 70 points was the difference last time. My guess is going to be, at the worst, it will be 55. So they'll have cut into that by 15 points, which once again, if Republicans have to go out there and defend every seat that's +10 Republican to +15 Republican as a toss-up, they don't have the money or the power to do it or the charisma. Let's just be honest with it. When Trump's not on the ballot, Republicans don't show up. There's also trouble for Johnson here. That's Speaker Johnson. A special election was slated for Arizona next Tuesday is expected to provide the Democrats and some renegade Republicans the last vote needed to force through a discharge petition aimed at releasing the Epstein files, putting Johnson in a pretty tough position with the Trump administration. Johnson tried to avoid the inevitable by sending the House on their summer vacation early, which had the net effect of giving supporters of exposing the convicted pedophiles' investigation documentation a chance to round up the last vote they needed. According to a report from Politico, newcomer Delita Giravali is expected to be elected to the seat held by her late father in the district that Trump lost by 22 points. So I think this is a comfortable Democratic hold. The report says the likely winner made it clear that she will vote with her party, as well as Representatives Marjorie Taylor Greene, Nancy Mace, Lauren Boebert, with Politico's Meredith Lee Hill reporting that Johnson appears to have been resigned, that the battle is lost. So if she wins this race next week in Arizona, that's it. There's going to be enough votes to get the Epstein files, which will lead to an amazing moment. Because trust me, if the Republicans in the House realize they don't have the votes to stop this, suddenly you are going to see ballpark 100 Republicans switch their vote and say, because they don't want to be, if this is coming on out and they all know what's in it, they don't want to be on the side of protecting Trump, the pedophile in chief. So they will go on out there and say, after careful consideration, now that it looks like it's going to pass and I can't stop it, well, I'm now for releasing this information for the public good. That's what's going to happen. So we'll have to see. Johnson might try to take the petition and get it buried in the House Rules Committee, but he's already run into problems related to the Epstein files there. Previously, he's not expected to want to suffer another humiliating defeat. He's basically told the Republicans in recent weeks he wouldn't force the Rules Committee to short circuit the discharge petition. Political's Hill is reporting, adding that the Representative Riley Moore conceded the battle is lost if this one race does go to the Democrats. We'll take a break. Come on back. More about Tylenol than you ever needed to know when I come back. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Hey, Minnesota, it's your favorite sexy liberal. Join me and my fellow cohorts in liberal justice weekdays from 8 to 11 on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts.
So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
The independently owned Next Chapter Booksellers is the perfect destination for your next book. The friendly staff at Next Chapter Booksellers are great at making recommendations no matter your age or taste. Plus, they have frequent events including book readings and meet and greets with authors. And they sell more than just books. They have a wide variety of puzzles and games, too. So stop in and browse the store off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul. More at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
This is Alex Knorr from Buzzcut Mowing, a young, hardworking entrepreneur serving the Southwest Metro with affordable lawn care. I take the hard work off your plate with weekly mowing. I also offer leaf cleanups, aeration, dethatching, tree trimming, and mulch installation. I'll keep your lawn beautiful so you can enjoy your weekends with the people who matter most. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com. That's buzzcutmowingmn.com.
When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP. Or visit snapconstruction.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 74. Tonight, clear with a low around 56. And Wednesday, sunny with a high around 75. Don't miss Sasha Colby's Stripped 2 Tour, an electrifying blend of dance, storytelling, and drag artistry at the Fillmore, Minneapolis on October 9th. Listen all week to The Gailey Show and The Matt McNeil Show for chances to win tickets. You can also purchase tickets at thefillmoreminneapolis.com. That's thefillmoreminneapolis.com.
ATNF AM 950, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Broadcasting in Chicago at night, WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk in the nighttime hours, in Seattle 1150 AM KKNW, and of course in Minneapolis, St. Paul on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. It is the Matt McNeil Show on your Tuesday. So I want to talk a little bit about Tylenol, but I want to just really quick, if I can, I want to explain. I got kind of an interesting relationship with Tylenol because it's the only pain medication I can take. For the people in Chicago and Seattle, you probably are not aware of this, but about in 2021, yeah, my kidneys tried to kill me. I know. It's tough when an organ turns on you. It really is. What had happened is, for lack of a better way to say it, I had become kind of allergic to ibuprofen. And it created a situation called minimal change disease, and I was retaining water, and it was bad. And it was really bad, like kind of terrifyingly bad. And the good news is they restarted my, with a fairly healthy dose of steroids. They re-kickstarted my kidneys. They all work fine. Everything's going well. I get tested fairly regularly, but I cannot no longer take ibuprofen. That is off the limit. And also, I can't take aspirin either. That both basically, I am not allowed to take either one of them. So the only thing I can take is acetaminophen, which is Tylenol. And trust me when I say that after this, I did a lot of research. Is that if this is the pain medication I have to take, I want to know about it. It's relatively safe. I mean, it's you don't want to be taking handfuls of the stuff, but it's relatively safe. So there you go. I'm just FYI. Doesn't mean they're not paying me to advertise them. They're not, but it is safe. It is a safe medication. And I did plenty of research, which wasn't going up. I went up on the Twitter machine, and the Twitter machine says I need to take and slather honey all over my caboose cheeks. No, that's not an actual doctor. As a matter of fact, that's probably we need to call the police at that point. Kind of sticky. Yeah, it is. It doesn't do anything else but kind of make a mess. Trump yesterday, though, decided that he was Dr. Bombay. There's your Bewitched reference. He apparently thinks he's got a doctorate in, I don't know, stuff. But he came on out with the Brainworm McGee and Dr. Oz, the human chicken nugget, sitting behind him. And they went after Tylenol, punctuating his words with hand gestures. Hello. Trump on Monday warned pregnant women against using acetaminophen, the active ingredient in Tylenol, suggesting a connection between the widely used medication and autism. Don't take Tylenol. Don't take it. Trump said, fight like hell not to take it. Do they think that there are people in hospitals like, you're going to take your Tylenol? I don't think that's what it is. He repeated the don't take Tylenol refrain or slight variations of that at least 10 times during the wide-ranging White House briefing that also touched on vaccines and obesity medications, as well as the promise of decades-old drug that could become the first treatment for the underlying cause of autism. He acknowledged that his advice, which is largely unproven, and by the way, I think this was the Star Tribune put this one out. They went out of their way to try to write this as kid gloves as they could. He's a deranged chimp. Okay. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And so lying is basically how I think the right term. He was lying. Basically, he did acknowledge though that this is his personal views. Tylenol is a brand name for a drug called acetaminophen, known outside the United States as paracetamol. One of the world's most widely used over-the-counter medications. It is taken for temporary pain relief or to reduce fever. Tylenol was first introduced by McNeil Laboratories in 1955, no relation, as an aspirin-free pain reliever for children available with a prescription. Johnson & Johnson acquired McNeil in 1959, and soon after adult Tylenol was launched as an over-the-counter medication. In 2023, Johnson & Johnson spun off its consumer health business into a company, Kenvue, which now owns the Tylenol brand. The recent interest in acetaminophen picked up and accelerated by anti-vaccine right-wing and Maha influencers. Reminder, the same people who applauded you getting a sugarcane Coca-Cola at Steak and Shake. Healthy. Was sparked by a study funded by the National Institutes of Health and that was published on August 14th in BMC Environmental Health. Now, okay, so they're hanging their hat on this, but this is important. We need to go through this here because I want to make sure that even the people in this that did the study were very quick to say, okay, no. The study led by researcher Didier Prada of the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai and colleagues at Harvard's T.H. Chan School of Public Health involved a rigorous review of 46 previously published epidemiological studies. Of those, 27 reported links between the use of medication by pregnant women and an increased risk of autism or ADHD in the children. 9 showed no link, 4 indicated protective effects. The higher quality studies were more likely to show a connection, the findings Prada emphasized, do not prove a causal link. We show that acetaminophen is associated with a higher risk, but not causing it. These are very different things, he said in the interview with the Washington Post earlier this month. So basically, there is a statistical anomaly there that says people taking Tylenol, there is a slighter risk more of autism, but they're very clear that what Trump and Brainworm McGee and Dr. Oz are saying is not true. There is no direct connection between Tylenol and autism. Some scientists interviewed said this was well done study, but pointed out there was also strong studies, including one very large one published in the Journal of American Medicine in 2024 that appeared to disprove the link. At the news conference on Monday, Trump said there was no downside in not taking Tylenol, and he repeatedly warned pregnant women to only use the medication if they had a high fever or they felt they can't tough it out. Now, okay, I'm going to take a moment here to stop to allow every woman who is listening to me to basically go tell Trump to go blank himself. So off you go. You get that out. I've had my wife had 3 kids. I tough it out. Oh, dear Lord. Women are 10 times tougher than I have yet to see a man do anything with the level of pain threshold that women have to go through. My God, you can't tough it out. Johnny Bone Spurs over there. The Cankle boy. The guy that needs a golf cart to go anywhere. The guy who complained at the UN today that the escalator taking me up to the podium broke down. So you had to walk 10 steps. He's telling women, if you can't tough it out. Why is it always the guys that would be blubbering in the corner with a splinter having the audacity to try to tell a woman, hey, no, chickie poo, suck it up. Why? If you like, I'll tell you what, I'll give you another thing. All the women out there, if you want to give another good Effenheimer to Trump, here you go. It's your time now. And we're back. All right. So once again, I want to go through what we just said. There's a study that showed a slight increase in rates of autism and Tylenol use, but even that study said there's no direct connection between A to B. There's no taking Tylenol does not cause autism. And multiple other reports, including a very thorough report by the Journal of American Medicine, basically said, nope, that study is bunked. We've disproven it. There is no connection. So there you go. Science wins once again. Cynthia Bannerman, a past president for the Society of Maternal Fetal Medicine and professor of maternal fetal medicine at UC San Diego Health Services, said the concerns about autism and Tylenol have been overshadowed well-established risks of untreated fevers in pregnancy. Here's the other side of this, too. He's basically telling people, you got a fever, don't take medication. If you don't take Tylenol when you have a fever, especially in the first trimester, we know that is detrimental to the fetus. The Bannerman said. Suggestions that acetaminophen use in pregnancy cause autism are not only highly concerning to clinicians, but also irresponsible when considering the harmful and confusing messaging they sent to pregnant patients, including those who may need to rely on this beneficial medicine during pregnancy, a statement from the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists said. Trump also made some unsubstantiated comments about Cuba, saying, there's a rumor. If I walk into the doctor's office and I say, hey, what's up with my elbow? And he says, there's a rumor there's goblins around. Would I be seeking a follow-up appointment with that physician? Probably not. I would probably say, good luck. I will move on. I heard a rumor. So Dr. Bombay here is all of a sudden got out his spirit board, and he's now, there's a rumor here There's a rumor, and I don't know if it is or not, is so or not, that Cuba, they don't have Tylenol because they don't have the money for Tylenol, and they have virtually no autism. His caboose is that large. He could be pulling. There's a lot of things he's pulling out of that. A 2017 paper published by the MEDICC Review, a peer-reviewed journal focused on the Caribbean and Latin American medicine, cited estimates from Cuba's Ministry of Health that 1 in 2,500 Cuban children have been diagnosed with autism, though the ministry said the figure was likely an undercount. By the way, I want to make sure I mention, they actually do not have a lot of Tylenol there because they don't have a lot of medication there, period. And they actually told people to bring medication there. So the fact that they don't have as much Tylenol, but yet they still have a fairly substantially large autistic population, okay, what is it then? Trump also claimed the Amish he's going after the Amish. Love their beards. Love them when they're in ZZ Top. Trump also claimed the Amish have essentially no autism, but a 2010 paper presented at the International Society of Autism Research Conference by researchers from schools, including the University of Miami, identified the presence of autism among the community and said further study was needed to ascertain whether the cultural norms played a role in how it was reported by caregivers. Conflicting guidance can be confusing, especially when some of the advice is coming from the president. Medical professions say that acetaminophen is generally safe for use during pregnancy. Talk to your doctor. So basically, Trump is just making it up. Tough. By the way, I just saw the poster on the live stream. Marla says, "Tough it out." Yeah, exactly. Marla, I'll tell you what, just for you alone, I'll give you another moment. You can scream, whatever you like to at Trump for suggesting that women need to tough it out with pain. Off you go. And back to the show. So I did want to follow this up with something here because there is there is something we need to factor into this. There is Dr. Oz. Now, Dr. Oz is RFK Jr. and Trump announced that Tylenol causes autism. He's going to push the cure folinic acid. Who sells folinic acid? Dr. Oz's supplement company, iHerb. The same Dr. Oz who now is the administrator of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services in the Trump administration. By the way, not only does he says it cures autism. It doesn't. It doesn't do that. It's a hack quack medication. It's a grift. And this is what I've said from the beginning with these clowns. They're just there to create some official government stances that allow these people to sicken people and make profit off of their deaths as they jam money in their pocket while they desperately keep quiet that they use Tylenol and they get their vaccinations. But all the rest of you, you're stupid rubes. Yeah, I think I'll tell you what, during the commercial break here, I'm going to take a few seconds to scream at Trump myself. It is the Matt McNeil Show.
I like it. As simple as that. That's right.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. And we'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
Shamblat Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblatfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
Step into a world where magic and merriment come alive. Discover fantastical creatures, behold thrilling jousts, and meet your favorite characters of old. From rib-tickling gestures to spellbinding performances, the adventure never ends. Make memories that will last through the ages at the most magical village on earth, the Minnesota Renaissance Festival. Plan your visit today at renaissancefest.com. Huzzah!
Find a wide selection of outdoor hearth products at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Whether you prefer wood or gas, Woodland Stoves has the fire to fit your home. Pizza aficionados know nothing matches masonry oven baking for capturing flavor and nutrition. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces can easily install one in your home or business. Enthusiasts use these ovens year-round for bread making, wood roasting, even grilling.
The mission and passion of Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces is to make the fire work for you. The way humans relate to fire is primordial. We have used fire to warm our bodies, cook our meals, and kindle our spirits. Our team has the know-how to do this in a clean burning and environmentally smart way. Visit our store and experience the diversity. We have over 35 working units on display at the corner of Riverside and East Franklin. See us online at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that fits and works for you.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Hey, Francois, where are we going and why do you have so many canvas bags?
Salut Laura, on y va chez Nicolette's Macarons.
Oh, I've never been to Nicolette's store. They're just off Highway 169 and 36th in Plymouth.
Oui, ils ont 16 saveurs de macarons là.
They have 16 flavors of macaroons at the store. That's why you have so many canvas bags. I love how Nicolette supports small food entrepreneurs. Let's hurry. They're open afternoons, Wednesday through Friday, and midday on Saturdays.
Nicolette, c'est génial. Allons-y.
Let's go.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 74. Tonight, clear with a low around 56. And Wednesday, sunny with a high around 75. Experience the comfort of Nightingale, your neighborhood bar and restaurant. Enjoy American classics like the famous Nightingale Burger, Ginger Tamari Chicken Wings, and Duck Pastrami Reuben. Open daily 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. with their full menu served until midnight. Takeout also available at nightingalempls.com.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Oh, I leave quite an impression. 5 feet to be exact.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. I usually like to try to, I try to get a little bit something lighter here, but I got this last thing, and I've got to go through this because there seems to be a lot of sudden deaths of Black people in the South. And something seems to be going on. Now, as you would expect, the white police seem to be pointing out nothing going on here. I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a coincidence. First, we're going to go down to Houston. When a 20-year-old University of Houston student was found dead in the Brays Bayou earlier last week, it shook many of the students who knew her. It also sparked a span of Houston police recovering 5 bodies from local bayous in 6 days. Let me repeat that. They found 5 bodies in local bayous in 6 days. Authorities have identified Jade McKissick, who was found the morning of September 15th after last being seen 4 days earlier. Investigators at the Houston Police Department said they do not suspect foul play. Okay. Later, September 15th, Houston Police Department recovered the body in a Greens Bayou near the 13,400 block of the East Freeway east of downtown along Interstate 10. A spokesperson for the police department said the initial call for police was listed as someone who was possibly dead on arrival. The next afternoon, September 16th, Houston police recovered a body along the White Oak Bayou just north of downtown and I-10. September 18th, Houston police responded to a call from the Buffalo Bayou near 400 South Jensen Drive. A spokesperson for the police department said the initial call involved responding to an individual at that location that had threw himself into the bayou, but noted this is only a preliminary information and the cause of death had not been determined. Then on Saturday, September 20th, Houston police responded to another call along the Buffalo Bayou around 901 North York Street, just east of downtown. An individual called police after coming across a body while paddling down the bayou. Authorities were still investigating each of these cases as of Monday, and the Harris County Medical Examiner has yet not determined the cause of death for any of the 5 cases, including McKissick's. The medical examiner's office did not immediately return a request for comment. A spokesperson for the Houston Police Department told Houston Public Media that there's no indication the deaths of any of these people found in the Houston area bayous are connected, and said they're awaiting the results of the autopsies from the medical examiner's office. That does not stop some social media users from speculating on the cases, including someone who cite information that went out as far as to speculate the serial killer possibly running around in Houston, Texas. An Instagram post from Daily Rumble falsely slated that Houston police indicated McKissick's death was a result of foul play, attributed the killing to a serial killer. The video has more than 4,000 likes. After Houston public media reported on Friday that police do not suspect foul play in McKissick's death, several Instagram users quoted the veracity of the statement. Now, that's once again, you are getting a statement from the Houston Police Department. I remind yourselves that after George Floyd was murdered by four police officers in the street of Minneapolis, that the Minneapolis Police Department said that they had done nothing wrong, that he had a drug reaction, and then we saw the video. I don't give a lot of credence here until I see the actual evidence. What I can say is there are three things that do connect all of these deaths in Houston. One, it's Houston, all in one city. Two, they're all black. And three, they were all found in bayous. Now, maybe it just was, it doesn't sound like this is a normal occurrence. I tried to ask that question and by through the internet searches and the news to try to see if I could track down, is this common? Is this something like, people like to, when they think of the Golden Gate Bridge, that's one of the things that's thought about is a lot of people like try to commit suicide up there. And as a matter of fact, they have suicide prevention nets and all that stuff on that bridge because a lot of people try to do that. Is this a case that this is the Houston version of that? If people go chuck themselves in a bayou, if they're having mental health problems and they want to end it, I don't know. It doesn't seem like that. It definitely seems like this is a unique set of circumstances. But the fact that you found 5 bodies in 6 days and you're saying nothing to see here, I think I would, there was a point when I would say, I wish the federal government would step in, but not them. I mean, I just, that's the disturbing part about this is right now, who's out there to actually give us a straight answer of what the heck's going on out there. I will mention as well that there have been 2 black people found hanging from trees in Mississippi. Yes, lynched. Now, the one of them, the Mississippi University student that was found hanging, was Delta State University. The police have they've ruled it a suicide, but the family has a lot of questions about that. They don't think it was. Once again, there's a lot of people that, I want to remind people, this is kind of common when it comes to in the South. If a blonde-haired white girl disappears, it's 24-hour coverage until she's found. But black people disappearing, yeah. And the police, and I talked about this is the offshoot of 100 plus years of mistreatment of the African American community. Their mentality is get it cleared off the docket as quickly as you can. So if there is an easy path you can argue, they'll do it. And we've had this happen. I mean, my God, how many times have they slipped and they fell, and all of a sudden you find video footage of someone, a police officer beating them or violently attacking them and stuff like that. I mean, you have these cases where it's clear that they are not doing their job. And now all of a sudden we have a total of 7 black people in the South, Mississippi and Texas, who in a very short period of time have all come up dead. And once again, in the Houston case, there sure seems to be some connecting factors there. Something that I don't think you can just easily brush away as not important. And in Mississippi, the 2 black people hanging from trees. For goodness sakes. This is Trump's America, man. This is Trump's America. Chicago, Seattle, talk to you tomorrow. Minneapolis, St. Paul, hour 2 up next.
Hey, it's Tom. There's a war being waged on clean energy. A bill in Congress could eliminate the 30% federal tax credit for solar by the end of 2025. And once it's gone, it may never come back. Fossil fuel giants and their MAGA friends in Washington want to kill green energy. But you can fight back. Going solar with All Energy Solar isn't just smart, it's a form of resistance. You choose where your money goes, not to utility companies, not to fossil fuel billionaires, but toward clean, renewable power for your home. A system from All Energy Solar works in Minnesota year-round because it runs on sunlight, not heat. So even in the dead of winter, you're generating electricity. And All Energy Solar helps you save with every rebate and incentive available. This is the moment to act. Waiting means risking with this tax credit and giving the upper hand to MAGA Republicans. So get your free consultation today at allenergysolar.com and take back your power.
It's Brad Friedman, host of the Bradcast, weeknights at 7 on AM 950. KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. A busy day at the United Nations with the General Assembly's underway. In his address this morning, President Trump chided the world body, saying the UN is not even coming close to living up to its potential.
All they seem to do is write a really strongly worded letter and then never follow that letter up. It's empty words, and empty words don't solve war. The only thing that solves war and wars is action.
Trump also warned Europe it will be ruined if it doesn't turn away from what he described as a double-tailed monster of ill-conceived migration and green energy policies. But later, in a meeting with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, Trump offered this.
Our country is behind the United Nations 100%. I think the potential of the United Nations is incredible.
Sagar Meghani reports the president capped things off with a major shift on Ukraine.
For months, the president's insisted Kyiv will have to make concessions as part of any peace deal.
For the good of Ukraine. Good stuff, not bad stuff. Also, some bad stuff.
But after meeting with President Volodymyr Zelensky at the UN, the president hailed Ukraine's efforts in a fight he says was only projected to last about 3 days and has instead gone on about 3.5 years.
They have a lot of courage, a lot of guts.
And writes on social media he thinks Ukraine, with European and NATO support, can win back all the land it lost. If the president's support sticks, it's a huge win for Zelensky, who's been urging the U.S. to boost pressure on Vladimir Putin to end the war.
Dispose of Trump, it's a big shift.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Wall Street's rally took a pause today. The Dow shed 88 points, or 0.2%. The S&P fell 0.6%, the Nasdaq 0.9%. All three indexes retreating from their all-time closing highs. This is AP News.
Do Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keep coming back? Tremfya, guselkumab, may help, with rapid remission achieved at 12 weeks and lasting clinical remission at 1 year. Some even saw visible improvement of their intestinal lining at 12 weeks and 1 year. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease and adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Healing is possible with Tremfya. Approximately 3 out of 10 patients were in endoscopic remission at 1 year, based on areas visualized on colonoscopy, which may not represent the deeper bowel layer or entire GI tract. Individual results may vary. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listeners. How important are business values to you? When you need high-quality digital print, it matters who you work with. You see, Minuteman Uptown is unique. We're one of the only union print shops in Minnesota providing our team with living wages and benefits. We believe in second chances for justice-impacted individuals who want to contribute to the community, and we are active in local issues. We've been in the streets standing up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Uptown, our mission is to connect all communities through technology-driven print solutions. An example of that mission is when I moved Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-9999 0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
Adventure is calling. Set sail with Treasure Island at Children's Theatre Company, where danger, discovery, and daring sword fights await. Follow young Jim Hawkins on a journey filled with mysterious maps, buried treasure, and the unforgettable Long John Silver. A legendary story brought to life with stunning visuals, live music, and heart-pounding action. Don't miss Treasure Island, September 9th through October 19th. Tickets at childrenstheatre.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 74. Tonight, clear with a low around 56. And Wednesday, sunny with a high around 75. Treasure Island has set sail at Children's Theatre Company. Join young Jim Hawkins and the infamous Long John Silver on an adventure packed with pirates, sword fights, live music, and heart-pounding action. Tickets are going fast. Get yours today at childrenstheatre.org. Again, that's childrenstheatre.org.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here on your Tuesday. Good to have you with us, Matt. Patrick, Brett is here as well. I do want to mention this hour. I got 2 pairs of tickets. I got 2 pair of tickets to give away to Sasha Colby. And of course, RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15 winner, a drag icon, proud trans woman. Her Stripped 2 tour is an electrifying mix of dance storytelling and drag artistry. And she's going to be at the Fillmore in Minneapolis on Thursday, October 9th. Tickets are available at thefillmoreminneapolis.com. But I have got 2 pairs of tickets to give away later on this hour. So listen for your chance to call in to go see Sasha Colby over at the Fillmore on October 9th. Brett, I generally, like I said, I've had some heavy news today. I generally don't like to go into heavy stuff to begin with, but I do have to get into this because it's a very sad story. An infant died at a Twin Cities daycare on Monday, according to authorities. The death happened at Rocking Horse Ranch Child Care Facility in Savage, is under investigation from the Savage Police Department, Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. In a statement Tuesday morning, police said the infant's identity is being publicly withheld pending preliminary autopsy results to determine the cause of the manner. While police have not indicated what caused the infant's death, the department is encouraging other families to be on the lookout for any warning signs suggesting their child might be at risk. Now, that's the line which I saw in this is like, okay, what's going on here? And why I feel as if this is actually more of a news thing. We should probably put this out here. As a precautionary measure, families with children who attend this child care facility should closely monitor their children and seek immediate medical attention if they exhibit altered mental status, unusual behavioral changes, or other concerning symptoms, the department said on Tuesday morning. Rocking Horse Rocking Horse Ranch Childcare was operated since 1992, accepts children ages 6 weeks to 10 years. They're asking anyone with information regarding the incident to contact Savage Detective down there. Thoughts with the family in this incredible, difficult time. I don't know what quite to take with that. Are we talking about a medical thing? Is it? We've had cases where children have ingested drugs, and that when you talk about what was it, closely monitor the children, altered mental status. I mean, that kind of pops out a little bit there. I'm not quite sure here.
Yeah, that's rather ominous to say. Keep watching for those types of signs. If I was a parent, I would be wanting a little more detail on what exactly happened, because I would be nervous. Well, do I even want my child going to that same facility if you're having these types of issues, unless you have more details?
Well, and my guess is going to be they have, considering the nature of this, have talked to the other parents of this daycare, which is one thing. The problem I have is, okay, say this isn't a drug thing. Say this is some sort of illness thing, something serious. How concerned should everyone else be about this? I mean, if it's one of those things where there is a health concern just on the kids, well, if the kids are going to, restaurants or going to other daycares or play facilities or whatever the case may be, how dangerous is it for everyone else now? Because that's the whole problem. This goes back, remember, there's a flashback to us in early 2020, where basically it's like once the airplane started, it's like there's going to be everywhere real fast, and that's the case. I mean, that's the thing I want to know about. It kind of sounds like there might be, kids found some drugs or something like that, and they don't know what the case may be. I'm not saying that is. I'm just saying when they talk about altered mental status, unusual behavioral changes, that might be the case, but we don't know. And so, yeah, this is why I'm bringing this up, is that this is a whole bunch of what? Right
Yeah,
now.
I didn't think of that aspect too, that it could be some sort of illness that they could pass to other people. And
Yeah.
of course, that's very common for children to pass on, obviously, illnesses to
If it
adults
is,
and their caregivers.
if it is something of that nature, my guess is going to be is we will hear something fairly quickly from the Minnesota Department of Health, because they are on top of things. As a matter of fact, in an unprecedented move, they basically just, they said the heck with you, federal government. They're straying from the federal COVID-19 vaccine guidelines. The move comes after the executive order from Walz to maintain vaccine access. The recommendations are every adult should get vaccinated. Yes. Sanity rules in Minnesota. Isn't it crazy? There are states out there going, you can get vaccinated, just rub dirt on yourself. Rub dirt on your face, you'll be fine.
Yeah, especially as we're seeing, I think Southwest Utah, where they have like over 40 cases of measles now that have just broken out. I saw today. It's just.
Are they?
Yeah, it's Southwest Utah, I think Northwest Arizona, where this is the latest outbreak.
I'm going to guess.
Oh, they already saw. There was, I think of the 22 they found in one area, 21 of the kids were unvaccinated.
I'm going to guess that is a Republican stronghold. I'm just going to take a speculation. I'm going to take a guess. Monday, the Minnesota Department of Health announced a standing order empowering pharmacists to give COVID-19 vaccinations to those who want them. The state agency recommends the vaccine for those 6 months and older, while strongly recommended for people with underlying conditions. Most recently, the Center for Disease Control, I don't know what they're doing. I still think my favorite headline so far of this administration was the Onion saying he stormed the Sour Patch Kids factory saying, "Show me your autism." That's I don't know what these we literally have people have no idea about medicine in charge of all the medical advice of this country. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Still mind-blowing to me that Dr. Oz has a position of power too, along with RFK, a guy who is just grifting medical products on a TV show.
I want to think about what Republicans would be like if Joe Biden had placed Rosie O'Donnell into a senior position at the Health and Human Services Department, and then turned around and then said, "We're going to tell you not to take Tylenol because we feel it causes one problem. Oh, by the way, Rosie O'Donnell's iHerb private side, supplement business sells a alternative to this, which is much better." Can you imagine what Republicans would be like? Can you see the red faces and the veins? And this is just in any other day in this administration. This is crazy. And I've almost lost complete hope that anyone on the Republican side has any guts whatsoever to actually hold anyone to 1/100th of the standard that they would have held Joe Biden or Barack Obama to.
Very much doubt we're ever going to see them held to that same sort of standard by Republicans, at least.
Well, they are just way too much trying to be, we're victims. And like I said, I always find it somewhat funny. I'll get into this a little bit later on, that the same people, these are generally their thrill kill fantasies that they put out there on social media and stuff like that are consistent until something bad happens to them. We have to be civil. I should be able to say anything I want to you guys, do anything I want to, allow any kind of behavior, unless it's something someone else is doing. And then I'm going to hold them to a standard which I myself would never, ever, ever, ever attain myself. I mean, that's the craziest part of this whole thing. I am aging I am aging. I am going to be a hollow shell of a human being here. And if this goes on for 3 freaking more years, my God, man.
Hopefully we can put somewhat of a stop to it next fall.
Well, my hope is they'll resign. If the Democrats take back major control and it's all of a sudden they're going to have veto-proof majorities in the House and the Senate, which we could only dream of something like that. But if something like that were to happen, and Trump was realizing that the impeachment is coming the first day they're in office, I think he'll resign, hand the reins to J.D. Vance, run over to Saudi Arabia, and never return to the country ever again. I think he will absolutely never come back here again.
I mean, financially, that would be his best play, to get out of the country, keep all the money that he can.
Oh yeah,
Because,
and then,
I mean, how much is he taken from these tariffs and the Treasury and many other sources?
I guarantee, I have zero doubt that they've already probably taken bars of gold from Fort Knox and put it in their own pockets. I'm dead serious too. But hey, at least we have some semblance of sanity here in Minnesota.
At least we know that if you offer them $50,000 of cash, they'll always turn it down.
Who doesn't love a big old pile of cash in a fast food restaurant bag? Of course, we have Patrick. Is it Cooligan today?
It is Cooligan. Yes.
Patrick Cooligan from the Minnesota Reformer is kind enough to join us on Tuesdays. You get to chat with him. What are you guys talking about today?
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about this housing stabilization program that unfortunately has run into some more fraud allegations with 8 more people indicted in that case. So we'll primarily be talking about the ramifications of what that's going to mean. Plus, we'll talk about how our Minnesota State Capitol doesn't have a lot of security to at least get into the Capitol. There's no metal detectors, no check-in area or anything like that, which in a way is kind of refreshing that you have that kind of access to lawmakers. But of course, on the other hand, in this era of political violence, that could change in future years. So we'll talk about that. And then a little bit on Nicole Mitchell being sentenced today as well.
All righty. That's coming up here in just a second. Reminder coming up a little bit later on. Sasha Colby tickets going to be at Sasha Colby at the Fillmore on October 9th. We'll give away 2 pairs of tickets coming up in a little bit. But right now, it's Brett with Patrick Cooligan from the Minnesota Reformer right here on AM 950.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's a Tuesday afternoon, and that means it is time to speak with Patrick Cooligan of the Minnesota Reformer. He's their editor-in-chief. Minnesota Reformer does a great job covering Minnesota news and politics, as well as some great columns that they have on MinnesotaReformer.com as well. Today, we're going to be highlighting some of the news stories that they've been working on for the past week or so. So what's on the docket today? Well, we're going to be talking about yet another fraud scheme in Minnesota state government. Plus, we'll be talking about security at the Minnesota State Capitol and how we have some of the most lax security in the entire country compared to other capital state houses. And then former DFL Minnesota State Senator Nicole Mitchell has been sentenced. We'll talk a little bit about that and her sentencing. So a lot to get to today. Patrick, thanks so much for coming back on the show.
Always a pleasure.
So 8 people have been charged in what federal prosecutors call a massive fraud scheme tied to Minnesota's Housing Stabilization Services program, where they're accused of stealing millions meant to help vulnerable people find housing. The case has sparked new scrutiny of the program, which Governor Walz did cancel and shut down a few weeks ago. But before we dive into some of the details on this, let's talk about how this program works. So how does this program, at least how is it supposed to work? And then, well, what exactly went wrong with some of these fraud charges that appeared being charged back to Medicaid?
Yeah, Minnesota was the first state in America to get this Medicaid money, Medicaid being a federal state partnership. And the idea was we were going to take people who were fresh out of drug and alcohol treatment or experiencing homelessness, and we're going to give them the support they need to get into some kind of stable housing. And the idea is would be not just good for those people, but it would also help us with a kind of revolving door that we have often between homeless shelters and emergency rooms and treatment and jail. And a lot of that would be solved with stable housing. And so companies or nonprofits could sign up, and then they would bill the State Department of Human Services for services rendered. It turns out they were not offering the services at all in many cases, but they were billing exorbitant amounts. And what started, it was the estimate for this program was actually going to be a fairly modest program, like a couple $2 million a year they were going to spend on this. And then in the first 6 months of this year, before Walz shut it down, they had spent $60 million. And this has been going on. It's just the costs have been growing significantly every year. And the reason is that kind of the word got around amongst the fraudsters who seem to have discovered that state of Minnesota is a pretty easy mark. The word got around, and the Department of Human Services was not doing their due diligence. And so that's how we wind up with yet another fraud debacle in state government. And the timing of it of course, could not be worse for Governor Tim Walz as he just launched his reelection campaign. And a lot of these fraud issues have come up, really starting it started at the end of his first term, but have continued certainly through his second term.
Well, I want to go back and talk about some of the costs of these programs because, as you pointed out, these have ballooned over the years. Looking at the exact numbers, in 2021, the program paid out over $21 million. Then it ballooned to $42 million in 2022, $104 million by 2024. So it's grown substantially. And I guess my question would be, how is this not necessarily a red flag that those costs ballooned so exorbitantly? I know you said that maybe the DHS wasn't quite doing their due diligence, but that just kind of blows my mind that you could have that much growth in a program that was only supposed to cost about $2.6 million annually. And here we are back in 2024 when it ballooned to $104 million. So was there some sort of process that was missed with DHS in terms of how they didn't catch these ballooning costs and the potential for fraud?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that we need to figure out, I think, for the Department of Human Services. They're so apparently asleep at the switch that the governor actually, earlier this year, according to the Star Tribune, a story that published Saturday, they had sought additional authority for the Department of Human Services to, sorry, I'm misreading something. They actually had sought more money for the program, and they wanted to speed up the processing time and let more people into the program. So very, very strange that you see this massive growth in the program, up to $100 million in a single year. And then you, rather than saying, well, hey, something's going on here, they actually, they want to fund more positions to keep pace with the growth, and speed up processing times, and let more providers into the program. And a lot of the providers were based in a single building in St. Paul on University Avenue. So there's just the dots. It couldn't have been that hard to connect the dots here. It doesn't seem, especially since more Star Tribune reporting that 2 years before the indictment last week, the DHS got a tip that this company was engaged in potentially fraudulent activities. And DHS, rather than investigating themselves, they passed it off to a private outside Medicaid administrator, because we, of course, privatized Medicaid administration. So that's an insurance company. And so somehow, even though 2 years before we were tipped off to this, the state didn't do anything about it, and the payments just continued almost right up to the point of the indictment. So clearly some mismanagement. And of course, it's more than just the $100 million, or well more than that, that's gone missing. And as we've spoken about before, it extends to other programs, childcare, autism treatment, and of course, Feeding Our Future. But it's more than just the money. It's also how this is totally eroding the public's trust in the government to run these programs, which are needed by people who are have housing instability, children with autism, and so forth. And so the effects, the damaging effects of this fraud and the failure to catch it are well beyond just simply the dollars and cents.
Yeah, absolutely. And with these fraud stories you and I have been talking about over the past few years, they all have a common thread, which is these third parties that are the ones that are causing the fraud. It's not the end users or the people who are supposed to benefit from these programs that are committing the fraud. It's always the middleman. And I want to talk a little bit more about them and exactly how they were able to, exploit some very vulnerable people, because as I understand it, they were supposed to help, I think in a couple of cases, a number of people who were coming out of like drug rehab centers. They were also supposed to help people who were either old or disabled. So I'm curious a little bit about how they were able to engage in their fraud. Did they provide any help whatsoever, or maybe just a little bit of help? I'm more curious how they were able to take advantage of some of these very vulnerable people who were supposed to qualify for these programs.
Well, one key thing, the commonality with a couple of these programs is there's no licensing. So autism, and then also this housing stability. You didn't need a license to get into business, and I think that was a key tip off to the fraudsters. That made it so much easier. And then, like you said, they prey on people who are vulnerable. And now we have lots of reports of people who say, they were in this tough position, and the companies would claim that they had spent all this time and money helping them, and they didn't help at all.
So, what's been the response from Governor Walz and his administration so far, and what impacts could that have in his reelection coming up here in 2026?
Yeah, I mean, they put out last week. There was a hearing at this House Fraud Committee, which the chairwoman of which is Kristen Robbins, who is a Republican candidate for governor. So make of that what you will. But she's obviously very well positioned here to amplify all these fraud situations. And so the morning of the hearing last week, the Walz put out kind of yet another executive plan to have I think he called it independent, some kind of a new council that's going to cut down on, that's supposed to be another anti-fraud plan. And then they also fired the assistant commissioner who was supposed to appear apparently before the committee to answer questions. So that didn't look great. I mean, I'm sure that we want him to be replacing folks who are not doing their job. The commissioner of DHS is referred to as a temporary commissioner. She's been there since, I think, February as temporary commissioner. So I think he needs to get a permanent commissioner there, and they need to get their house in order. On the question of his reelection, you never know about these state government stories. Do they break through to the average person? And Walz is fortunate that he'll be running next year in the midterm election of Donald Trump's second term, and we're hearing about shady deals and what certainly looks like corruption and pay-to-play schemes already, only 9 months into the administration. So it's an easy way to sort of muddy the waters, where the Republicans running against Walz, it's like, well, you're so anti-fraud, but it's okay for the White House border czar Tom Homan to take $50,000 in a bag, cash in a bag, as was reported this past weekend. So I'm not persuaded that this is the death knell of Governor Walz's reelection campaign, but it's certainly a bad look. And these stories kind of have a drip, drip, drip quality because there's every turn of the screw, and I expect more indictments.
I want to briefly talk about two other stories before we have to wrap things up today. And one has to do with security at the Minnesota State Capitol. Now, my personal example is that I remember going to the Minnesota State Capitol for my first time as part of a senior government project back in high school. And one of the things that shocked me so much, being someone that really wasn't into politics or knew anything about the Capitol, was that there was basically no security whatsoever. I mean, there was some, but there wasn't exactly a metal detector or some sort of official screening process that you had to go through to get into the Capitol. And it's kind of refreshing when you think about it, that it's, well, the people's house, and you largely can go to the Capitol as you please. But that, of course, has changed here in this era of political violence. And right now, Minnesota is considered an outlier when it comes to their Capitol security. And you guys over at the Reformer are able to do a little research and write about how our state compares to others when it comes to security. So what did the research show when it comes to, well, comparing Minnesota's Capitol security to other states? Because I found it kind of interesting as I read through that it's not necessarily a link between red versus blue states. It kind of varies from state to state when it comes to security.
Yeah, you're right. We have a much more open Capitol than our 49 fellow states. We don't have security checkpoints, metal detectors, and guns are allowed on the premises. Whereas out of 38 states where the National Council of State Legislatures is surveyed, 30 have metal detectors and do bag searches. Only 8 states have no screenings, and we don't have either. So I'm like you. I previously worked in Nevada, also a pretty open capital. At least at the time when I left 10, 12 years ago, there was no metal detectors or screening. And I just think that's it's fantastic that we have this open access to our legislators. They're close to the people who elect them, and they're accountable. And of course, certainly as a journalist, it's nice that you can come and go and grab a lawmaker in a hallway. And the degree to which we're not able to do that, I think, is a real detriment to democracy. Now, that said, given the events of the recent past, both here and nationally, and the easy access to firearms and our broken mental health system, I certainly understand why folks who work in the Capitol complex are real nervous. And going to work shouldn't be something that induces anxiety, at least for your physical safety. So there's going to have to be some kind of middle path here. I'm thinking that it'll probably be some kind of check-in, maybe, and maybe you'd have to tell Capitol Security if you are carrying a firearm, because they're not going to have the votes to ban firearms. And according to Representative Jim Nash, who's a ex-urban Republican, they don't have the votes for metal detectors. So we'll just have to see what happens when they come back next year. They're going to have to make these decisions. Certainly, the courts have much more protection, and many of our courthouses are attached to city halls or county buildings. So those elected officials have more security than our legislature does. But it's a very tough issue, and it's certainly not partisan. I think people on both sides line up on either side of this issue.
Finally, one brief piece of news I wanted to touch on with you before we wrap things up, and that has to do with former Minnesota State Senator Nicole Mitchell, because she has been sentenced to 6 months of work release following her conviction on burglary charges, because a jury in July found her guilty of first-degree burglary and possession of burglary tools after she broke into her stepmother's home in Detroit Lakes earlier this year. Any big surprises from this sentencing, or was this kind of largely as we thought it might go after she was found guilty in this case? And I'm sure that a lot of folks are happy to be putting this case kind of behind them with her now officially sentenced in this situation.
Well, yes, as one of our reporters said, I'm so sick of this woman, and I can't blame this reporter. I mean, we got a view of Minnesota's criminal justice system insofar as we believe in short jail and prison sentences and long probation periods. So she's sentenced to 6 months. She'll serve at least 4 of that, but she'll be able to leave during the day and go to work, and then she'll serve 5 years of probation. So I think, had she done this in another state, she might be serving much more serious time. And I just think the worst part of it is certainly feel badly for her stepmother, who had to live through this and has continued to live through it. But also, former Senator Mitchell really put the state through an unnecessary ordeal. There was no reason to go to trial. There was no reason to stay in office. She should have resigned immediately, and she should have just owned up, taken responsibility, and then gone on and tried to get some kind of redemption. but out of the public view. And I hope it's a lesson for other elected officials.
Yeah, absolutely. So she has officially now been sentenced again to 6 months of work release following her conviction. Well, if you'd like to read more about any of the stories we talked about today, including the fraud in Minnesota's housing stabilization program, also security at the state capitol, and much, much more, you can read those all over at minnesotareformer.com. Again, a great resource for Minnesota news and politics, minnesotareformer.com. We have been speaking with Patrick Houlihan, who is the editor-in-chief of said publication, the Minnesota Reformer, who joins us every Tuesday. Patrick, thanks again for coming on the show this week.
Always a pleasure.
And let's take a break and send things back over to Matt McNeil on AM 950.
This year, the adventure is calling louder than ever before. Craft your own magic at the Wicked Wand Workshop. Race for glory at the Ninja Warrior Challenge. Or battle for honor at the Viking Invasion. Plus, enjoy classic favorites like live armored combat jousting or slay your hunger with tasty turkey legs. The Minnesota Renaissance Festival is back with new adventures. Get your tickets now at renaissancefest.com. Huzzah!
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
This is Mitch, owner of Junk Masters. Feeling overwhelmed by clutter? Spring's the perfect time to reclaim your space and peace of mind. Renting a dumpster is costly, and it all ends up in the landfill. Just show us what goes. We give usable items a second life by donating them. No calling all over town trying to figure out who takes what. We do the legwork for you. Easy, cost-effective, and local. There's no obligation. Visit junkmastersmn.com today.
Discover a world of foods. Visit Shanghai International Wholesale Market, a spacious food warehouse open to the public with discounts for buying in bulk. Incredible selection of global and local foods, 500 different types of noodles, specialty items, and local foods you won't find anywhere else. Shanghai Wholesale Market, your local international food warehouse. Shanghai is just north of University Avenue off of Pryor.
When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP. Or visit snapconstruction.com.
Twin Cities Con returns to the Minneapolis Convention Center for their 5th year, November 7th through the 9th. Twin Cities Con is a celebration of comics, toys, TV, film, art, cosplay, games, and all things nerdy. There's nothing like Twin Cities Con. It's also a family-friendly event where you can meet your favorite celebrities, browse the vendor hall and artist alley for the coolest merch, watch celebrity Q&As, and even more. Twin Cities Con is bigger and better than before. Come see from the Star Wars universe Ahmad Best, Rosario Dawson and Giancarlo Esposito, Brendan Fraser, and the cast of The Mummy, WWE Wrestling Hall of Famers Sting and Mick Foley, and the voice actors from the hit Disney series Phineas and Ferb, plus more guests to be announced. 3 days of action-packed fun in the heart of Minneapolis at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Tickets start at $50. Kids tickets are just $10 for the entire weekend. VIP tickets also available, including a 3-day weekend pass, plus some really cool VIP perks. More guests will be announced. Buy your tickets and get more information at TwinCitiesCon.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 74. Tonight, clear with a low around 56. And Wednesday, sunny with a high around 75. Don't miss Sasha Colby's Stripped 2 tour, an electrifying blend of dance, storytelling, and drag artistry at the Fillmore, Minneapolis on October 9th. Listen all week to The Gailey Show and The Matt McNeil Show for chances to win tickets. You can also purchase tickets at thefillmoreminneapolis.com. That's thefillmoreminneapolis.com.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. Let's give away those tickets. Caller number 5, caller number 6. Sasha Colby, RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15 winner, a trailblazing drag icon and proud trans woman. Strip 2 tour is coming to the Fillmore in Minneapolis on Thursday, October 9th. Tickets available at fillmoreminneapolis.com, or you could just win a pair of tickets right now. Callers number 5, callers number 6. You each get a pair of tickets to go see Sasha Colby over at the Fillmore. Good luck. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Callers number 5 and 6. 952-946-6205. Good luck on that. Just, the again, kind of the fallout from, the new woke mob is clearly the right. It always was. I mean, they always claim that the woke mob and cancel culture coming for us. No, they never were. I mean, I always found it hilarious that people that were able to get on 15 different radio stations and 12 different TV shows and get a column in a major newspaper were all claiming they're trying to silence me. No, they're not. Yeah, you're pretty much loud and heard everywhere. What MAGA people feel is trouble is that they don't like it when they're criticized. They don't like it when they criticize. That's what it is. They want to be the cool kids. They so desperately want to be the cool kids. Seriously, every MAGA guy they all just desperately want to be the cool people. I mean, it's why that when most of the left Twitter, they basically sat there like, oh, I don't want to just talk to other Republicans. I want to talk to other people. Well, now they came over to Threads, and they can't help but being jerks, but they desperately want your attention. I want to remind people of this. You're coming to my page. That's not me seeking your attention. Hey, this world's got 8 billion people on it. You at best, if you are a MAGA troll, rank somewhere in the 5 to 6 billion per day. I don't care. And you see, and that's what really hurts MAGA right is when they say something and they get criticized for it, it shows you we don't care. We don't care about what they have to say. So that was when they were trying to say we're being canceled, but really they're the ones. I mean, the whole thing, Jimmy Kimmel coming back tonight. I mean, they want to cancel people that say things that they don't like. They think it's hilarious. They think it's great. And that is now official policy, is that your freedom of speech, if they deem it that it's not necessary, well, they're going to shut it down. Hey, FCC, I'm sitting right here. Hello. Anyway, they really went, after a lot of people. And I'll be the first to say this. I mean, some people went too far with some of the things that they said in regards to Charlie Kirk. I said the first thing I said is no one deserves to go out like that. But I'm consistent. I've always said this about gun violence. I've always said this, and I don't care if you're Charlie Kirk, and I don't care if you're anyone else. No one deserves to go out like that. Gun violence is a horrible thing, and we need to have common sense gun laws. Maybe they would have helped in this case. I don't agree with what Charlie Kirk said. He had said a lot of things which were really offensive and inflammatory and racist and misogynist. anti-transgender and anti-LGBTQ. He was but that's why you loved him. He because he did not try to unify, because he basically went after the same people you want to go after. That's why you liked him. That being said, I still don't have a lot of faith and respect for people that cherish and relish in his death. Now it seems that they're going after, they're scouring the internet to try to find people to where they can get them fired as a way to make themselves feel better, I guess. Longtime Golden Valley family restaurant has become the latest business to take action against an employee for comments they made regarding the killing of right-wing activist Charlie Kirk. JJ's Clubhouse on Wayzata Boulevard said on a Facebook that social media post by one of its employees regarding Kirk assassination had circulated widely was ultimately tied to the restaurant. Now, once again, I'm not mistaken, this is not something that was written on the JJ Clubhouse social media pages. This was on this private page, but they tracked him down that he was a server there and demanded JJ's fire him. While the details of the post were not shared, JJ said it had caused unnecessary hurt and anger with our customers, our employees, and the ownership of JJ's. As a result, the restaurant said it has taken swift, decisive, appropriate action to address this matter. It did not provide any further details. While individuals have a clear right to hold different political and religious views, we firmly believe there is no justification for celebrating violence, applauding, and taking of any human life, or for restoring the post-death name-calling to describe how they feel about Charlie Kirk after he was assassinated, the Facebook post reads. Acts of violence, vitriolic words, and any expression of support for these actions have no place in a moral or civil society, let alone within the four walls of JJ's Clubhouse. Numerous businesses and institutions nationwide have taken actions against employees over apparent celebrations of the targeted shooting of Kirk, who had expressed conservative views on race, gender, abortion, guns that often drew criticism from people. Locally, Minnetonka Public Schools placed a teacher on leave for a social media post hoping for Kirk's death, while Cove, the restaurant out in Wayzata, pledged to fire any employees who celebrated the assassination after an unconfirmed claim of an employee's doing so at Wayzata. I think that was the Canadian girlfriend. I heard from somebody and somebody else, and there's somebody there that said something. Doesn't sound like anyone's been fired there. There has also been backlash towards Disney after ABC, one of the subsidiaries, told Jimmy Kimmel that the comment was made regarding the Trump administration's reaction to the Kirk shooting, while conservatives criticized as mischaracterizing the political beliefs of suspected shooters, Tyler Robinson. So on, and it just, yeah, it is what it is. In the case of JJ's Clubhouse, they have decided that, the MAGA people wanting some sort of punishment have merit, and so JJ Clubhouse is standing with the Charlie Kirk crowd, and they got rid of their employee. That's what JJ's Clubhouse did. I want to go into this other story, though. U.S. Congressman calling for the resignation of a tenured Minnesota college professor over a social media post about the commenter Charlie Kirk. Opie himself, Representative Brad Finstad, a Republican whose district includes Mankato, accused Kevin Parsnow, a political science professor at Minnesota State University in Mankato, of inflammatory comments and mocking Kirk's death. Kirk was assassinated on September 10th. Finstad is calling on the Mankato school to demand the professor's immediate resignation. While hundreds of young people gathered in Mankato to mourn Charlie Kirk and honor his legacy, they were forced to see their professor mock his murder. That's beyond unacceptable. Finstad said in a statement on Monday. Parsnow wrote 3 expletive-laden posts last week about Kirk in the social media platform Threads. In a Threads calling for the Minnesota Vikings to honor Kirk, Parsnow responded, ignoring that racist blank is the only thing the Vikings did right on Sunday. He called posters dumb and traitors and other social media replies. Now, once again, celebrating someone's death is never a good thing. It isn't. It just isn't. And here you have Brad Finstad, who's found as well the consummate Republican villain, a teacher. Ooh, get him. To go after. You want to do this, it's fine. But this whole thing, if I can be blunt to all you conservatives out there, and to the people bowing to this pressure, where was any of your outrage when a lot of Republicans mocked the murder of Melissa Hortman and her husband, the shooting of Senator Hoffman and his wife. Where was any of your outrage then? Because your outrage did not exist at that point. It didn't. Brad Finstad sure didn't stand up to, was it Senator Lee? I mean, Tina Smith went after him. God bless you, salute. But did Brad Finstad go over to Lee and say, wait a second here, that's out of line? Nope. Opie put the tail between his legs, and, well, I don't know. He might have been upset, but just didn't feel like he could say anything in the modern MAGA world. Maybe he was applauding along with it. Maybe he was laughing and chortling, thinking that's a zinger. I don't know. Because you know what? When people were mocking the murder of Melissa Hortman and her husband and the shooting of Senator Hoffman and his wife, we didn't hear anything from any of these Republicans. Because that sort of speech and mocking and lack of civility and encouraging of violence, at the very least, did not bother them. Did not bother them at all. I want you to put that in mind as they sit there and they clutch those pearls now and say, we need civility. For God's sakes, half the Republican Party is giddily enjoying the jail term for Nicole Mitchell right now. Happy, high-fiving, they're having a great... It's incredibly difficult for you to claim you're the newfound party of civility when people said basically the same unacceptable things about the murder of Melissa Hortman and her husband and the shooting of Senator Hoffman and his wife. You said nothing, Congressman, or any Republican. You said nothing. JJ's Clubhouse did not go out there and try to find any of their workers that were mocking that and demanding their firing, or Cove or anywhere else, or the Minnetonka School District. No one seemed to care at that point. That's just speech. But now, all of a sudden, there is this urgency to basically have accountability, which makes your demands for accountability pointless because you're inconsistent. You're inconsistent. If you're out there celebrating something like the jailing of Nicole Mitchell, don't tell me that you're the party of civility. If not one of you went out there when you had some clown on your Twitter timeline sitting there saying, thank God that for Vance Belter, you didn't immediately say, how dare you? We're going to find out where you work and we're going to get you fired. Well, you see, his inconsistency, and this goes for everyone. This goes for Democrats, Republicans. Inconsistency is the great eroder of your argument. I don't take Brad Finstad seriously at all. He's only concerned because it's Charlie Kirk's murder and it's a teacher. And Finstad could care less about the thousands of people in his district that cheered and gleefully enjoyed the murder of Melissa Horton. Henceforth, you can use your freedom of speech all you like. I'm not giving you any credence. If you really want to say this sort of thing is horrible, well, then you need to do it not only when it's convenient to your political argument. That's just a fact. You want civility, that's not just when you demand it. It means being proactive. There you go. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Take a break, wrap up the show. When we do return, it is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Tuesday.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
Overwhelmed trying to make sense of Medicare? As a licensed advisor, I can help you determine your healthcare needs and evaluate your options. I'm Harvey Pearl of Pearl & Company, and I want you to have the peace of mind knowing you have the best coverage available. You deserve an advocate you can trust and coverage you can rely on. And there's no fee, ever. Annual enrollment is October 15th through December 7th. Find me at pearlsofwisdom.com. That's PERLES of wisdom.com. So we can strategize together.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about the joy of live fire cooking. Cooking over a live fire is the oldest and most basic form of cooking.
What's new is in the way fire is handled and its heat is managed.
It's easier to experience and enjoy the smell and taste of food cooked over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs live fire grills, fire pits, and ovens. Let us help you experience the smell, the taste, the fun of cooking with fire.
Pizza was first made and is still best made in an open fire oven. The radiant and conductive heat of a live fire is unmatched for wood roasting and baking artisan breads too.
Come see the many ways you can cook over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
So an atheist, a Christian, and a Buddhist walk into a church. There's no punchline. That's just what happens every Sunday at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis. Join us for Sundays Reimagined or live stream at firstunitarian.org. Looking for community without doctrine? Questions without judgment? Think outside the pew. Join us for Sundays Reimagined at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis or live stream at firstunitarian.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 74. Tonight clear with a low around 56. And Wednesday sunny with a high around 75. Experience the comfort of Nightingale, your neighborhood bar and restaurant. Enjoy American classics like the famous Nightingale Burger, Ginger Tamari Chicken Wings, and Duck Pastrami Reuben. Open daily 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. with their full menu served until midnight. Takeout also available at nightingalempls.com.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. One final thing here today. By the way. Coming up here on Native Roots Radio, Arvina Martin with Emerge Wisconsin, Minnesota State Representative Heather Keeler, and Wisconsin Assembly candidate Jessica Seawright, all joining Native Roots Radio there. That's called what they call in this industry a humdinger of a show. Native Roots Radio, Native American news. You just do not hear it anywhere else. We are lucky. We are blessed to have it here on this station every weekday, a 5 o'clock hour right after my show. Stay right here. All right. Quick note here. And I kind of mentioned this before, but I was wondering if anyone in town would cover it, and the racket did. Basically, we had in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, the American Prospect tickets to the event. This is an event for crypto. The lone Democratic lawmaker at the symposium was Representative Angie Craig, offered not so much resistance as a shrug. She's run against Peggy Flanagan in the U.S. Senate seat and told the audience she's inviting digital assets into the financial system would be apolitical. Her presence on the cusp of an expansive campaign suggested otherwise. Whether or not it should be political is moot. Crypto is already super political and partisan. House Majority Whip Tom Emmer, who co-founded the Congressional Crypto Caucus, has been called crypto's dream speaker. In 2024, crypto business invested over $245 million in election campaigns and candidates, accounting for about half of all corporate money spent. And with speakers on stage in Jackson Hole bragging about owning the SEC, Federal Reserve, and most of the White House, it's not hard to see why the move to strengthen the wallets of the richer and wrest power in the U.S. meant. And of course, Angie Craig was there. Now, I have been very critical of the idea of both of crypto. Because, I mean, it definitely seems to be, it's these Republican right wing trying to establish a new gold standard, only doing it with crypto, which is just a garbage made up cryptocurrency I did have zero faith in. But that's just my opinion on it. I don't. That's why I don't invest in crypto. Absolutely not. But maybe Angie Craig is, I mean, I'm at this point. I mean, if she decides she doesn't want to run for Senate, she wants to run for her House seat again. Do we have any guarantee that the second that she did win, she'd say, the Democratic Party's left me, and she jumps over and joins the Republicans? I don't know. I don't know. It's stuff like this that makes me question that. Native Roots Radio up next. Have a good one. We're back tomorrow. Till then, see ya.
The independently owned Next Chapter Books